Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the new Lian down case collaboration. This is the A3 a-matx. It's going to be available in black and white. You can also get an optional glass side panel and vertical mount, which we'll look at as we get in the video. It's going to be available for $69.99. Nice. So I'm looking forward to this one. So let me get it out of the box and we'll check it out. So pretty basic packaging to go with this. Nothing extraordinary, but it's fairly lightweight, so I don't think it will matter too much. So then there we have it. Let me give you some dimensions to begin with, because it certainly seems very long. This is 443mm long, 291mm high, and then it's 194mm deep. So what it lacks in height, it certainly makes up for in length. Can support a 360mm AIO in the roof as well. And there's so many different mounting options. For example, this is the reviewer's guide. It's a real hefty lump. There's like 20 something pages of different mounting options. So I'll cover those as we go. I'll put them on the screen as well, but just bear with me because there are a lot of options with this case. So let's go around the thing. We'll start at the top. We have got some removable thumb screws on the back to take off the roof. Presumably it's just going to slide off. There we go. No dust filter on the back of there, but if you're going to be using an AIO, heat rises, so obviously you're not going to be fighting it. So there's no need to really have one on the top anyway. And then underneath we've got their support for the 360mm radiator. Like I mentioned, you can do two 140s if you'd rather. So going to the front of the case, this part I thought was going to be mesh from the videos and photos that I saw, but it's not. It's just hard plastic. I think it would be nicer if it was like a softer mesh, or even a metal mesh, for example, just so that would help bring in air from every possible place. So yeah, some people might like that, some people might not, but personally for me I'd rather it be mesh front instead. On the bottom of the front we do have some USB type A ports. These are USB 3. We've got a power button, and then we have got a microphone, headphone jack, and a USB type C. That is USB 3.1. Both of the side panels are obviously just mesh, nothing really to talk about there. They're not the same though, because you have got tabs on the top of each side, so they're obviously not the same panel, just rotated, but it doesn't really make that much difference. On the bottom of the case we've got some longer feet, and we've also got a removable dust filter, because you can draw some fresh air from the bottom of the case, or you can do two 120mm fans, one SSD, chop and change, 320mm fans, whatever you fancy. On the back of the case at the very top we have got a nice Lian and down case badge. We've got our pass-through for our PSU. It's going to sit at the front of the case. Can do it on the side and the front. Loads of mounting options for that, which I'll show you. Support there for a 120mm rear exhaust fan, and then we've got our 4 expansion ports. We just undo this little cover to be able to access those expansion ports. So push pins with this side panel just pops off, comes out to an angle, then you can take it out. So first of all, side on, you can see support for a side mounted radiator or some additional fans, whatever your preference is. Obviously you can take it out if you don't want to use it at all. One thing to bear in mind, you have got your power supply bracket mounted at the front at the moment. You will have to move that round to the back if you want to make use of these, because otherwise you've not got enough clearance. Again, I'll go through the mounting options and stuff in a minute. Very small screws on there, so I recommend a little magnetic tray, because those could easily get lost. So that just swivels up and then pops out. And then we can see into our case. So like I said, a-matx. At the very top we've got some little cable channels that you can run some cables behind. EPS connectors come to mind for the top of the motherboard. When you take out this that's held in by a cable tie, use some side cutters rather than a knife, because you might slip and then mark your case like I've just done. So if you're wondering that little scratch there, I did that. It didn't come like this from the factory. Or donut. Got a little anti-sag bracket for your graphics card. Some cable ties, all of your screws in one bag. You can obviously use some dividers and just divide those up if you'd like to. And we've got some like mounting hardware for, looks like some standoffs, and also some hard drive mounts and things like that. The pass-through cable obviously will go into the top of our power supply, can go in those little channels like I mentioned at the top. Talking about mounting options, we've got loads of different ones. So at the front you can bring it further down, obviously that will affect the clearance for graphics cards and things in the bottom, but you can also then mount it onto the side of the case, so it kind of takes it out a little bit further out of the way. You can support up to 220mm power supply, but I think you're going to be really pushing your luck. A lot of them are a lot smaller. They do recommend 140mm. Can support an ATX or an SFXL. I would personally go for SFX, because then you also have shorter cables and less to manage as well, which in a small form factor like this can be a little bit of a pain. I did an AP201 and there was a lot of cables left over, and I would certainly want some short ones if I was building in it. Front panel connections are all on one block, which is nice to see. Got a USB 3 header and also a USB type C there as well. Also front panel audio. In the bottom of the case, this was just taped down. This is a little bracket. This is what the anti-sag bracket will kind of sit on. This will just slide into one of the hard drive mounts in the bottom to help support your graphics card. In terms of maximum support for graphics cards and towers, you've got up to 165mm for your CPU tower. You might be able to get away with a Noctua NHU12A for that, actually. It might just be able to fit. And then for graphics cards, you got up to 415mm in length. Don't forget the height will vary depending on what you want to do. If you want to put any fans, you will be limited there. To stop overwhelming you with just all the different combinations, I'll also link all the information down below about what this case can support. This is certainly going to be something of look at the parts you're going to install, take your time, work it out, plan it really thoroughly, because otherwise obviously you're going to maybe end up with some space limitations if something won't fit. So we'll leave that linked in the description box below if you're going to try and cram as much as you possibly can into this case. So I'll go to the back, again push pins for this side. Now the storage panel on this side, if you're going to swap this over to a side mounted power supply, you can then put that on the front of the case. So you still have options for that. You're not going to lose it when you change the power supply orientation. So that's good to know that you can still actually use it and it's not just going to be a leftover part in the box. Then there's not really that much else to talk about. You've got access to your back plate, which can be quite a handy thing to have. But otherwise all of your cables are going to be inside the case. So it's going to be more of a, obviously just do what you can and stuff it into any places that aren't visible on the other side, like most small form factors are. So let's take a look at the extra bits. So first of all, we've got the side panel. This will be $12. I think fairly reasonable, to be honest, for this panel. And then you can get it obviously to match the color of your own case. So let's have a little look at this. I've got some plastic on there just to prevent any fingerprints and things. You can obviously peel that off yourself, but we'll just put that in its place. There you go, runs the full length, so do think about your cables in the front, but I think it really does level it up, and for a fairly reasonable price as well. In terms of the vertical mount, this is where it will get a little bit more expensive. So this is what I've wanted to see for a smaller form factor case for so long. Generally speaking, vertical mounts are only ever for ATX cases that take up all 7 expansion slots when you slide them in. So to have one for a smaller form factor, and as you can see here, will just take up 4. It's going to be a really nice thing to see. You've got a nice rubber grommet on there as well for your pass-through, for your display. Vertical mounting isn't for everyone. Not everyone will like it, but like I said, to have this option in a small form factor, I'm sure a lot of people will like it and they'll be happy to pay the $49. So if you want to get all the upgrades, it will cost you $132. So quite a substantial amount more than the case itself. But let's just put this in briefly just to see how this will look. So from what I can tell, it's going to be using the mounting for the fan. So it's going to sit a little bit further into the middle of the case. But you know, it's a vertical mount option in a smaller form factor, so I think that's pretty cool anyway. So I've just put the Intel Art card in there so you can see what it would look like with a vertical mount, just to give you a rough idea, but let me know what you'd like to see me use in a build. I'm thinking more a budget, because obviously it is a $69.99 case, and it would fit, I think, the theme of a budget a little bit better. But we can go a little bit higher end. We could do a couple of tiers if you'd like. Could go 7800X3D with the 7800 XT. That would work quite well, I think, in this. Maybe we'll try and put a 360 in the top, or we could just go mad to the wall and go 7900 XTX and see what we can cram in it. So let me know what you'd like to see and we'll get that going. I'll leave the links for this in the description box below if you want to pick one up. Of course, thank you to Lian and Dan Case for sending this out for me to look at. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.